Hello Python programmers. So in this video I'm gonna explain you the basics of database by taking an explanatory example using the SQLite 3 library of Python. Now we are taking the example of SQLite 3 library, but you can use this basic concept in any database. Like you can use this while creating your website in PHP or any other framework, but the basics of database remains the same. So in this video I'm gonna explain you the basics of database, which is CRUD, where C stands for create, R stands for retrieve, U stands for update, and D stands for delete. Now if you want to dive in deep into database, you should know the basics, and the basics of database is CRUD only. So without wasting any time, let's get started with the programming. Okay, so now we are into our editor. Let's first import our library. We are gonna use SQLite 3. Now I'm gonna create a function in which we'll create our table into our database. Now let me explain you this concept. Database is a file or a place where you save your tables. The actual data which you send or retrieve or update or delete is actually not saved into database, but is actually saved into a table which consists of rows and columns. Now let me make it more clear. Now let's picture a table with rows and columns, where columns is the quantity, like your name, date, roll number, whatever it is, and the rows is the data that you provide, like your name is this, roll number is whatever it is. So this is the way you store your data into a table, and a database is a collection of tables. So this is what the definition of a table and a database is. A table is the collection of data, and database is actually the collection of tables. So in this function we are gonna create our table into our database. Now as in we are creating a local database, not a cloud one, so this will be a database file. We're gonna create a table which will first create our database file, SQLite.connect. I'm gonna create with the name 1.db. Now we are gonna point our cursor or we are gonna point at this database. Then here we'll write our SQLite command, because this is the language which we use to create our database or to perform any action which is related to a database. SQLite 3 is the language which we use. It will all be in caps. Create table if not created, if not exist, and the table, let's say test. This is the name of our table. Then we'll enter our quantities or the columns ID. It will be a integer, and this will be a primary key. Then we have our name, which will be text. Now I'm taking the example of sort of a hotel management system, where we'll have these name, phone number, number of days you want to stay in, and the total amount of money that you have to pay. There will be number, which will be integer. Then we have our number of days, which will also be integer. Then we have total, which is also integer. Now as we have written our SQL command, let's commit or execute it. Con.commit. Now we'll close our connection. So what this function will do is, it will first create your 1.db file if not created, and then it will create a table with the name test if that table is not existing in this database. Now we'll create the function which will be used to insert the data. Insert. But before that, let's take the value from the user. I won't be creating any GUI. I will make it very simple. I'll just take input from the user as A, B, C. Just simple command line input. So our first is name. It should be a string, but actually before that we need to ask to the user that what he or she wants to perform. Integer. It should be input. What do you want to do? Actually this should be triple inverted commas because we need a multi-line string. So if you want to use multi-line string, you have to use 3 quotes. Our first option is let's say insert value or insert entity, a more professional word. Second will be to view all. Third will be to edit. Fourth will be to update, and fifth will be to delete. So if the user press option 1, let me scroll down a little bit. If the user press 1, then we want to execute these lines. First is A, which is your name, str input, enter your name, then we have your phone number, which will be integer, input, enter your number, and we have our third, which is the number of days. This is also integer. Enter number of days. Now after taking these 3 values, we want to call up our function, which is insert with these 3 values, ABC. Now let's create a function here. This is your name, this is your I guess phone number, and the third is number of days, then these two lines remain the same, so I'll copy this, paste it here. Then we are gonna write our SQL command, execute, insert into test, which is our table name. We have already connected to our database, and then we are gonna point to this table, and then we are gonna insert the values into our table. Values, first is null, because this is a primary key and it updates on its own. Then question mark, comma, question mark, and we have 3 values, right? 4 actually. Then we are gonna write the values which we want to insert. First is name, then it is phone number, then it is number of days, then we want to write the total amount of money that the user have to pay. We'll create a function for that, calculator, and give that function the value number of days. So first let's create that function, def calculator, and the parameter are number of days. What we are doing here is, these values are already given to us, the name, the phone number, the number of days, but the total value of money we have to calculate that. So for calculating that, the formula will be write 1000 into the number of days. So what we are doing here is, we are creating a function called calculator. We are calculating the total amount of value and then returning it and inserting it back into our table. So this is the function. We're just gonna write total is equal to 1000 into the number of days, and then we are gonna return our total. Then getting back to our insert function, we are gonna commit our changes, and then we are gonna close our connection, conduct close. Now the C part of our CRUD is done. We have created a database and inserted the values into it. Now let's come to the R part, which is retrieve, which is the part of our second option, which is view all. As you can see, we have these 4 values. The first one is done, then we have our view all. If option equal to 2, then we just want to call our function view. We don't need any parameters here. We'll write def view. Now the same, we are gonna establish our connection, then we are gonna write our SQL command dot execute select star from our table name, which is test. Then we'll create a variable which will actually fetch or retrieve all the data from this table. So we'll write fetch all, then we'll close our connection dot close, and then we'll simply print our rows or the data which is extracted. So let's try this bit of code. I'm gonna save this, shift plus right click on a mouse, open PowerShell window here, python 1.py, indentation because of the copying and pasting, I guess, at line number 16. Let me see. Oh, we have an error, no table as test. Okay, so was the name correct? Okay, so actually we haven't called this connect function anywhere in our program, so how will this table be created? So let's first call our function again. Okay, so there we go. We'll first insert, so the insert option is working fine. Let's view all. The second option, we have an error, rows is not defined. I guess it was row. Yeah, this variable is row. Let me save this, run it again. Second option, there you can see we have one entry with this was the primary key. It will be unique, so we can use it to call our entries while we are updating or deleting. So this is the first entry with my name, whatever the values are. So let's jump and create the third part of our program, which is to edit. So we'll create the edit one. Actually, first let's see the search option also. I haven't written here search option, right? Let's add a sixth option also to search the entity. So first we'll do search, because when we want to edit or we want to delete the entity, first we have to search. So we need to provide this command or this option first. Let's edit. This should be elif option equals to the search is sixth option, 6, Then we want to take input from the user, these 5 values, paste it here, but we want to remove the data type notations, because a user can also enter null values while searching, and if the data type notation is present, then it will raise an error. So let's call our function, let's name it as search with a, b and c values. So let's create our function a, b and c. Again we need to connect to our database first. Then we'll write the SQL command, which will be select star or select all from the name of our table, which is test. Select all from test, where name is equal to question mark, or phone number is equal to question mark, or number of days is equal to question mark. Then we'll fill out this question mark values with our a, b and c. This will be a, b and c, and then we'll simply copy this, because we are gonna show our values, which is very similar to our view all. Now let me explain this. So first we are establishing the connection with our database, then we are selecting all from our table where the name is A, or the phone number is B, or the number of days is C. Now we don't need a total column here, because if the number of days is same, then the total amount is also same, because there is no other factor influencing our total value. So we haven't included the total column here. So this is how the search function will work. Let's save this and try it. First I'll insert another entity. Let's see if it is present or not. So it has been added to our table. Now let's search. This is the 6th option. Our name is Harshit. All the values are 0, and there you can see the Python program is able to search this name value from this table. So let's come to the 3rd option, which is to edit and then update and then delete. So we'll do edit, let's create a function, but before that let's take the option elif options equal to, notice the option number for our edit, it's 3rd. If the option equal to 3rd, then we have to take these 3 values, paste it here, then we'll call our edit function with a, b and c values. Let's provide the parameters. Actually what we are going to do here is we first have to copy this search one, because first of all we need to search the entity that we want to update. So this was the reason behind why I have shown you how to search the entity first and then the edit and delete, because we have to search the entity before we want to update that or delete that. So we have extracted the row. Now we need to get the ID of this entity. So what I will do here is I will do index is equal to row is 0 of 0. The entities are in the form of a list into a list, so this will extract first the list and then the 0th or the first element of our list, which is our ID. So as we have extracted our ID number, let's take the edited value, let's say X, Y and Z. Okay, so now we have taken the input. Let's write the SQL command to update it. Update the name of our table, set the value name is equal to question mark, comma phone number is equal to question mark, comma number of days is equal to question mark, comma the total is equal to question mark, where ID is equal to question mark, and let's fill out these question mark values. X comma Y comma Z comma calculation, the function with the value provided of Z, because this is the number of days, and then we have to provide the ID which is stored into our variable index. So we'll write index here. Okay, so now as usual we have to commit our changes and we have to close the connection. So we'll commit and then we'll close. Okay, so let's save this and let's go back to PowerShell. Let's execute this one, and first let's see that how many values are we having. Okay, 2. Then I'll try to edit. The edit option is 3rd. Edited value, let's say QWERTY, phone number, then the number of days. So let's view this again, and there you can see the value is updated. Now we are left with the last option, which is to delete. Yes, we are left with the last option to delete, so let's do that quickly. Elif option equal to 5, Then we'll once again ask the user for these values. We'll paste it here. Now the name of our function is delete. So let's create our function. With name, phone number, name, comma, phone number, comma, number of days as our parameter. Okay, so as I've told you that we need the search part, the search section, to first search the entity that you want to delete. So I'll just copy paste it here, and then as we got the index of our searched value, then we'll just write one simple command, dot execute. We'll write delete from the name of our table, where id is equal to question mark, and then we'll mention our id here. Don't forget to add this comma after. Then we'll simply first commit, and then we'll close our connection. So let me save this, go back to the PowerShell, run my command, fifth. Okay, so what was the name? QWERTY, I guess. QWERTY. So if we run it again and we view all, we can see that the QWERTY row or the QWERTY dataset have been deleted from our table. So there you can see, by this real life example, I have explained you the CRUD of the database, where first we have created, then we have retrieved, then we have updated, and then we have deleted the value from a database. So this was it for this video, and if you want some more exciting projects, then link are all on your screen. Click on them and I'll meet you there. Bye bye.